Thank you for stopping by on this channel, which is all about wine education, informally, friendly, and with all the information that you need. We're here focusing on California, the Golden State, could be a country in its own right in wine making terms. And we are on a multi-series view here. So we're on series 5, talking about the Central Coast. And we are getting stuck into a multi-part series. This is part 2 of 6, looking at Monterey and St. Lucia Highlands AVAs. Okay, well, let's rock and roll looking at the Central Coast to begin with. Here you are. It's huge, right? It stretches from San Francisco in the north all the way down to Los Angeles in the south. It's about 280 miles long, and then about 60 miles as its width, at its most sort of fattest width. Now you'll see that incorporates these kind of sort of orangey areas, green areas, blue and purpley color down here, expansive areas, multiple counties like Monterey County, like San Luis Obispo County, like Santa Barbara, and then with lots of small American viticultural areas, AVAs, within those. So we are going to discuss those in turn, of course, throughout these videos. We're very much shaped by the proximity of the Pacific. So we are going to be talking extensively about how winds and weather patterns, including things like fogs, really are a moderating effect to a lot of these wine regions, coming in through places like Monterey Bay, for example. And in fact, this is our second video. So here on this map, it's actually in green, this central area. On our next map, it's kind of been highlighted. We're zoning in a bit more. Now it's in slightly different colors, but it is that middle part. The north here is Monterey Bay, for example. So this is majorly based around the large Salinas Valley that runs from the Monterey Bay in the northern section and all the way down to the border of the San Luis Obispo County line. So it comes all the way down. You see, most of it is going to be located on this area, with a couple places like Carmel Valley, this green area here, and San Antonio Valley, a little bit disjointed, but most of it sits on that Salinas Valley. Now we have mountain ranges on either side. So where you'll find San Benedito County, for example, and our coastal ranges as well. So what about the large expansive area first, which was in kind of orange color on the last map? Now I have put the map to the left-hand side here so you can still access it whilst I'm teaching you. So you can see that I have only kept highlighted the AVA of Monterey, the large area down here, as you can see. So stretching from Monterey Bay down almost to San Luis Obispo County. Now this stretches for about 80 miles long, 80. It's the largest AVA in Monterey County. And as mentioned before, it's pretty much on the Salinas River Valley. And you'll actually see this picture here. It's taken from this orange zone, dark orange zone, the Santa Lucia Highlands and the Santa Lucia Highlands. And it's looking down towards, in the distance, the wonderful Salinas River Valley. Now, of course, what tends to happen here, and I'm going to get a nice blue arrow effect in here. Here's the Monterey Bay, and we get these cooling effects coming down here, coming down the Salinas River Valley, okay, which is going to be stronger in the north as it dissipates down towards this southeasterly direction. Okay, so very important factor, and we're going to actually explain another reason why it's even more intense, and that is a geographical feature. So here you'll see a picture in the background of Monterey Bay. So on this map up here, it's this little section just off here, Monterey Bay. Okay, perfect, lovely place, Monterey Bay, very, very pretty, and we have something which is quite important here. Now that's what you see in this topographical map. In the ocean, you'll see that you've got this real deep water canyon which sits just off Monterey Bay. Now, this holds a lot of cold water. Volumetrically, it's quite significant. And that means that the winds that come down here from the Californian current are exceptionally cold because of all this cold effect of this water. And then that is blown down into the Salinas Valley. So afternoons and evenings can be particularly cold. So they can have quite nice warm days, but then as the afternoons come around, the late afternoons, then the evenings, it really drops in temperature due to this cooling effect. Of course, for us, this means in viticulture, a real moderating effect. And it's quite unusual because, of course, as you head south down California, logically, you expect, because the latitude is dropping, you expect that the temperature is going to rise quite significantly. But this is a real cooling effect in this area. So here we go. Now, the coolest areas, therefore, are in this northern section. So that's where we find the likes of Pinot Noir and Riesling being planted. Of course, Pinot Noir being a black grape, which tends to like cooler conditions, and Riesling, of course, being a white grape. And then we have Chardonnay. Now, Chardonnay actually is grown everywhere. We find it in the cooler parts and down in the south as well. Chardonnay, by the way, is about half of the plantation of this AVA. So very significant across all areas. Now, as you head south past the dry riverbed, Arroyo Seco, and then down towards San Lucas, all this kind of area down in the southern section of the AVA, this is much warmer sites where there's less of that Monterey Bay effect, and you'll get varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, and Zinfandel being grown here, but also, of course, remember Chardonnay as well. Now, the soils here are sandy in its texture, loamy based, so they have a little bit of fertility to them, but they are composed of quite a bit of gravel as well. So really, as topsoils and even subsoils, there is very good drainage. There's also low growing season rainfall, which means that irrigation is going to be essential in these areas. Now, you can probably just about make it out on these pictures, but all the vines here have a drip irrigation system. It's very typical to see here, like you do across many parts of California. Now, also, we are looking for an ease of mechanization on the large flat valley floor. So, of course, these things where you've got yields that can be maximized through the likes of irrigation, some fertility in the soil, and then you've got a large flat valley floor, certainly around the Salinas River area. You'll find that grapes can be inexpensive and mid-price, but you will also find some more high-priced and premium examples as well. But they tend to be found in AVAs specific, like the Santa Lucia Highlands. That's the Han Family Wines picture in the one you see there. Okay, please do comment on this video, or maybe you have a question. Let me know if you've been to this area. Have you been to Monterey Bay? Have you been down the Salinas Valley? Have you been down towards the likes of the St. Lucia Highlands, for example, on wine tours, wine tripping? It'd be good to hear about your experiences and what wines you like. Please do get in touch. So let's look at the Santa Lucia Highlands to begin with then. So the Santa Lucia Highlands, now you see that I've now unhighlighted the Monterey AVA, which covered most of this map, and I'm just highlighting this orange part of it, which sits just into the Santa Lucia Highlands mountain range, overlooking the Salinas Valley. So it's about 18 miles long. It's southeast facing, so you tend to get it sort of facing the south, sort of east northeast facing, and majorly east facing, in fact, in this area, on alluvial terraces overlooking the Salinas Valley. Vineyards are planted up to about 350 meters, and it is located still relatively close, as you can see, to the Monterey Bay. So the Monterey Bay Canyon effect means that we get exposure to winds and fogs here, which are quite important. So elevated locations take full advantage of the morning sunshine before the afternoon maritime breezes cool the vineyards. And in fact, sometimes it can be so windy here that the vine's stomata can close. Now, stomata, if you see a leaf, now we look at it and it looks nice, you've got lots of patterns of them, but if you get close, if you get close microscopically, you can actually then see that the leaf is made of lots of little holes, which are like mouths, which open and close depending on the transpiration of the vine. That is what we call stomata. Now, if it's too windy, the stomata will actually close, which means it's protecting itself from losing too much water through transpiration because it thinks it's in a bit of an emergency situation. This will slow ripening. So what you'll find here in places like Santa Lucia Highlands is that there's a bit of a longer growing season, and it's quite good for really making some nice, elegant but concentrated expressions, the likes of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and even Syrah in some more sheltered sites. All of them with fresh characteristics and really good acidities. All righty, let's have a look at one of these wonderful Google Earth videos to put that all into perspective. Here's California again. We're going to highlight in blue the Central Coast AVA, as we always do, the very large encompassing area of over 280 miles long. And then we'll focus on, of course, the county we've just been discussing, Monterey County in the northern section, really sort of focusing on the Salinas Valley. We'll then look just after that at a real key influence here in terms of the topography, and that is Monterey Bay. This is a deep water canyon bay with cold water and bucket loads of it, and it creates very cold winds which are then funneled down the Salinas Valley. This in turn is going to affect the largest AVA in the county, which is Monterey AVA, about 80 miles long. And in those cool northern sections of Monterey AVA, they're in red, Pinot Noir and Riesling is key, but down in the southern section, you'll find more Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, and Zinfandel. The Salinas River, by the way, provides a lot of irrigation across this AVA. Then we have the 18-mile long Santa Lucia Highlands AVA in green there, looking east. Vines go up to about 350 meters. It's very windy here, and we talk about Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Syrah of being of importance in Santa Lucia Highlands. So that brings me to a conclusion, looking at that part 2 on Monterey and Santa Lucia Highlands. Please do join me for the next video looking at the Arroyo Seco, Chalone, and Carmel Valley AVAs. But as mentioned before, this will only be available to subscribers of Wine with Jimmy. So please go across to www.winewithjimmy.com. Any questions, please do get in touch. Any comments about the presentation? Have you been here? Have you got any experience with these wines? Always great to hear from you. Well, until next time, if you do find yourself in the UK, come and say hello for a class at one of my wine schools, a glass at my wine bar, probably a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Goodbye.